Так, убежище. Воу-воу.
This must be the place. It's definitely away from prying eyes. Relegated to the shadows. A kingdom of my own. At least I won't be sleeping in a coffin.
Поспал бы в гробу, чё? Трудно, что ли, тебе? Ты же, блин, вампир. Должен это делать. Бич драконов. Чего? Старый, но все еще острый меч, на лезвии которого выгравирована латинская фраза. По легенде, был выкован в Уэльсе в VI веке и принадлежал Павлу Аврелиану, основателю братства Святого Павла. Его возраст вызывает сомнения, поскольку в те времена были распространены мечи совсем другого качества и формы. Бич драконов передавался от одного главы братства к другому и использовался на церемонии проводов, когда глава братства отправлялся на бой с врагом. Священный меч был утерян после раскола между братством и стражами Привена в середине 19 века. Обе стороны обвиняют друг друга в краже. Это что? Это какой-то делюкс контент? Или что это такое? Это какой-то меч из какой-то коллекционки. Почему мой персонаж не может двигаться? Что? Что происходит? Мой перс не мог двигаться, и потом пошла какая-то загрузка. Меня переодело. Мне не нравится эта шляпа. Можно обратно? Да, спасибо. Так гораздо лучше. Хотя, может, шляпа более аутентична. Статья об эконах. Это редкая возможность, даже привилегия, сблизиться с вампирами и наблюдать за их физиологическими и психологическими особенностями с научной и рациональной точки зрения. Вот некоторые из удивительных способностей, которые я наблюдал за последние 10 лет в ходе общения с вампирами или эконами, как они себя называют. Сверхъестественная скорость. Вампир может действовать и двигаться так же, как и смертный, но опытный глаз подметит, что все чувства у них обострены, а реакция гораздо быстрее, чем у любого смертного. В некоторых случаях тревога, удивление, необходимость бежать. Я видел, как вампир двигался так быстро, словно исчезал и внезапно появлялся где-то еще. Когда вампиры действуют так быстро, человеческий глаз не может за этим уследить. Но это не телепортация и не дематериализация. Это всего лишь сверхъестественная скорость. Эта способность позволяет вампирам словно кошкам бегать, уклоняться и прыгать дальше и быстрее, чем это делаем мы. Кроме того, я заметил, что такая скорость их утомляет. Физические ограничения действуют и на них. Гипноз. Одна из самых мощных способностей вампира — это возможность подчинять себе смертного. Я называю это свойство гипноз, но оно не имеет ничего общего со способностью смертных изменять психическое состояние подопытного. И вампир может подчинить смертного своей воле и даже сломать его психику. Один вампир, с которым я беседовал, даже сказал, что чем сильнее сопротивляется жертва, тем более долговременным является урон. Словно вампир в буквальном смысле слова раскалывает разум цели. Тот же вампир объяснил мне, что на овладение данной способностью требуется время, и что результаты воздействия бывают самыми разными. Вампир может внушить ложное воспоминание, стереть болезненное. Возможности поистине безграничные, что и пугает. Чутье на кровь. Это, возможно, самая жуткая способность вампиров, поскольку именно она является причиной множества трагедий как для них, так и для нас. Вампиры жаждут крови. Они должны проявить неимоверную силу воли, чтобы сдержаться и не выпить всю кровь, которая находится в поле их зрения. Кровь нужна им для того, чтобы существовать и пользоваться своими сверхъестественными способностями. Голодный вампир может быть очень слабым, хотя ему и не грозит смерть от голода или жажды. Это жажда — вот причина того, что кровь так возбуждает вампиров. Один вампир признал, что запах крови так силен, а ее привлекательность так велика, что иногда ослепляет его. Если вампир сосредоточился, то он почти может увидеть кровь в живых телах, за стенами, на якобы чистом оружии и т.д. Тот же вампир говорил, что видит чистая ли кровь у смертного, или он болел, а в некоторых случаях даже может обнаруживать наличие в комнате зараженных предметов. Если это правда, то данная способность обладает просто невероятной ценностью для врачей. Жестко. Хочу быть вампиром. Так. Мейн-квест — это вот к этому столу подойти, да? А, ну да, типа кровь изучить. Не хочу пока. Пойду со всеми по трендю. Так, что там по поводу этого меча? Какой-то читерский меч, наверное, да? Старая пила. Карта пациента Элвуда. Томас Элвуд, мужчина, 28 лет. Лечащий доктор Типпет. Состояние выздоравливает. Дата поступления 16 сентября. Дата выписки не определена. Примечание. Во время войны лицо пациента было серьезно обожжено и деформировано при взрыве бомбы. Даже получая самые сильные успокаивающие средства, он регулярно испытывает сильнейшую боль. Словно, по его словам, огонь все еще горит под кожей. Осмотр рубцующихся тканей не показал следов воспаления, инфекций или отеков. Шрамы чистые. Может, это случай неизлечимого повреждения нервов? Пациент постоянно винит себя в своих физических уродствах. Может, это случай чувства вины выжившего? Фантомная боль как наказание за то, что он не умер вместе со своими товарищами? Жалко. Жалко челика. Что там за пила? Она вот во вторую руку? Нет. Первую. А это что такое? Брехун. Блин, это тоже какое-то DLC-шное дерьмо. Прозвище Брехун, этот пистолет заслужил шумными выстрелами и своеобразной формой большого дула. Изобретателем, создателем и владельцем пистолета был Карл Элдридж, второй глава Стражей Привина. Это тяжелое, не слишком точное оружие с оригинальным магазином создано, чтобы быстро проделывать огромные дыры в нападающей или убегающей цели. Карл Элдридж требовал похоронить этот пистолет вместе с собой, чтобы застрелиться, если вдруг он проснется вампиром. Во время похорон оружие пропало, и с тех пор его не видели. Вот оно нахер. В шкафу у меня, блин. Хирургическая пила, способная разрезать кости. Скорость атаки 15, 10, 10, 10, 20. Интересно. Так, надо со всеми потрындеть. Просто со всей больницей. Доктор Свонси. О, господи. Сейчас я... все нормально. Че на третьем этаже? Закрыто, небось, да? Конечно. Так, потрындю сначала со всеми, а потом уже с главным челом. Ты.
Good evening, miss. I'm Dr. Reed,
Ля, какая
the new
готочка.
surgeon at the Pembroke Hospital. And who are you?
Your name has no meaning to me, mortal.
А, понятно.
You're nothing but dust blown by the winds of eternity.
I beg your pardon?
What are you begging for, mortal? My clemency? Well, tonight maybe I'm inclined to mercy. You'll never forget the night you met Thelma Howcroft.
You keep calling me mortal. Why is that? And if I'm mortal, what are you?
Well, Dr. Reed, if you must know, I'm a vampire.
Do you require my services, Miss Howcroft?
I have no need for your medicine, Dr. Reed. Blood is the only drug I need.
And why do you believe you're a vampire?
I don't need to believe anything. It is what I am. It is what I feel within this hollow shell of flesh.
Please, describe to me how you feel. What is it like to be a vampire?
I can hear my body crumble from the inside as my flesh cracks and fades. I sense the last pulse of postulant blood within my drying veins. I need new blood.
I see. Have you ever heard of Cotard's syndrome, Miss Howcroft?
Never.
It's a mental illness discovered by a French neurologist named Jules Cotard. The affected patients are delusional. They believe that they are putrefying, that they are dead, a ghost or a ghoul, or in your case, a vampire.
Delusional, you say? Oh, sad and petty mortal. You can't even begin to understand the concept of immortality. And you think it is I who am delusional.
I'm assuming you must be a patient here. Am I right, Miss Howcroft?
It's only a cover. To hide from my enemies. I can leave whenever I want. As a woman, a spirit, fog, or bat.
Who are these enemies you mentioned? Can you describe them?
I cannot say for sure. But I sense their eyes on me from nearby. I feel them watching me every time I visit the garden near the morgue.
The staff here are not your enemy. They're here to help you, to care for you.
I'm not speaking of the doctors in white. I'm speaking of the men and women who hunt me. For I am a vampire.
I see. Don't worry. These people will not find you here. I'll personally make sure they leave you alone.
Thank you, mortal. But do not interfere with them, for you are no match for those that hunt me.
Доступно новое расследование. Откройте меню расследований, нажав расследования, которые вам доверяют граждане, рассортированы по районам. Чтобы приступить к заданию, выберите его, нажав левую кнопку мыши. После этого на карте отобразится область, которую нужно исследовать. Агасики. Отслеживать, отслеживать. Понял.
Who are you really, Miss Howcroft? I mean, apart from being a vampire.
Is that not enough for you, puny mortal? What do you require? Proof of my powers?
I'm curious to know who you were before becoming a vampire.
No, it's such a long time ago, I don't remember. Centuries of unholy life can have strange effects on one's minds, you see?
Стоп, у меня есть подсказка какая-то про нее, но при этом я ее не
I'll
повязал.
leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your
Интересно.
nocturnal activities.
Mistress of the Dark. Хочу сначала в левое крыло. Это этот типец.
Good evening, sir.
А,
I'm
не,
Dr.
это
Reed.
другой чел.
I believe we're going to be colleagues.
Reed, yes, I've been informed about your arrival. I'm Waverly Ackroyd. Welcome aboard, I suppose.
Does my arrival inconvenience you in some way, Dr. Ackroyd?
Let us just say that I don't particularly share Dr. Swansea's enthusiasm for hiring you. What we need here are reliable professionals, not overrated dabblers.
Overrated dabblers. Hater.
Do you need my assistance?
Not at all. I'm sure that you are used to gaining people's trust with your impressive skills. Well, it will not be the case with me.
If you have a problem with me, Dr. Ackroyd, please feel free to tell me.
Dr. Swansea has imposed your presence on this hospital without asking anyone's advice. The benefit of his position. But I don't agree with it.
I know we've never met before, but I believe this hospital could use all the help it can get. You will agree with that, I'm sure.
Oh, but I have heard about you, Dr. Reed. Of course, you can't say the same about me, since I have not wasted my time courting the press.
Враждебность ни к чему.
There is no need for such animosity between us. Don't you think the epidemic is already enough to deal with?
That is one point we could agree on. And that is precisely why I want to be sure that you will be of help to this hospital, instead of a burden.
Since your tenure in this hospital is longer than mine, perhaps you can tell me more about this place.
Let's just say I'm tired of the carelessness around me. I have always respected the skills of Dr. Swansea, but over time his enthusiasm has become displaced.
Carelessness? Exactly what are you talking about?
We're here to save lives. The people who trust us are not volunteering for experimentation. They're here to be healed.
I don't intend to run any radical experiments, Doctor. Even if I, as any good practitioner should, express an interest in pushing the boundaries of medical research.
Modern medical methods were created through audacity and ego. But there are rules in our line of work, and they're here to protect our patients.
Так, интересно.
I don't know what you've heard about me, but I have already proved my value as a practitioner.
I don't question your skills, Dr. Reed, but your motive. Is it money, fame, or are you truly dedicated?
And what exactly is that supposed to mean?
I served in the war just like you. But unlike you, I did not use the wounded to play the modern sorcerer.
Be careful what you insinuate, Dr. Ackroyd.
I only want you to admit you used those men to improve your theories.
Не считаю нужным оправдываться.
I don't see any reason why I should justify my actions to you.
That's true, Dr. Reed. The only judge has to be yourself. The question is, are you judging yourself hard enough?
It seems you have bad memories of your military service.
I refuse to see this industrial slaughter as scientific progress. War only reveals the worst in men.
We can at least agree on something, Dr. Ackroyd.
Уже согласны
Thank you for your
по двум
time.
вещам.
We'll talk later.
Прогресс. Скоро подружимся. Наверное, мы с тобой подружимся. Hi. Я тебя не видел.
Good evening,
раньше.
Doctor.
Ля какой.
I believe we're going to be working together.
Dr. Reed. Dr. Swansea informed us of your arrival, but I could not dare to believe we'd have such good fortune. Such an honor, sir.
Thank you. And you are?
I am Thoreau Strickland, Dr. Thoreau Strickland. I'm a great admirer of your work, Dr. Reed.
Так.
Do you need my medical attention, dear colleague?
You don't have to worry about me, Dr. Reed. I am here to assist you, not to be a burden.
Please, could you tell me something about yourself?
I'm a great admirer of your work concerning blood transfusion, Dr. Reed. I run my own experiments. I'm convinced it's the future.
I based my technique on my mentor's research. He helped me perfect my method. What is yours?
I'd rather not talk about it. For now, it's just theories and first approach. My process is purely experimental and unsuccessful.
As long as you're cautious and methodical, You may remain empty-handed, but you won't fail.
You're not the first one to warn me, but I am convinced knowledge is the main weapon against the ravages of this epidemic.
What made you choose to be a doctor?
I'm not ashamed to admit you and your work have inspired me. I am honored to have the opportunity to work by your side.
It's always a pleasure to share scientific and medical knowledge with someone eager to learn. I'll be glad to help you if I can.
This epidemic may be the century's most terrible disaster, but I'm convinced that we, as doctors, are the only ones able to defeat it.
What can you tell me about the Pembroke?
Well, it has always been an honor to work with Dr. Swansea. But with your arrival, I can't think of a better opportunity to learn about blood transfusion.
You seem quite optimistic. It's a rare and precious attitude in these difficult times.
I'm convinced that this epidemic is a test of endurance and dedication for us men of science.
Questions remain about our capacity to resolve the situation.
True. Last summer, during the first wave of the epidemic, I used to joke with Milton about the extra work. We're not smiling now.
Тебе. Теперь. И что?
Do you need help with anything in particular?
Well, yes, maybe. I'm waiting for a batch of products I ordered for my personal research, yet my supplier seems to have vanished.
Do you want me to play the errand boy for you?
Oh no, Doctor. But if you went personally to his shop, what with your reputation and all, he wouldn't dare to refuse the products I need.
I see. Well, give me the address, for I may pass by if I have time. What do you think of Dr. Ackroyd's aversion to modern medical methods?
It's a shame he's so narrow-minded. Dr. Swansea taught me that science is about exploring uncharted territory. I'm convinced that's true.
With the influenza and all that's going on, you should put your differences aside, don't you think? Why is it so difficult to work together?
I believe that if Dr. Ackroyd had been the one to discover the transfusion process, he would be the first to recommend its use.
So you believe it's just a question of jealousy and pride?
Dr. Ackroyd is as proud as he is blinded by his obsolete concept of medical science.
Злые какие. А, техники.
Tell me more about your willingness to experiment with new medical techniques.
Harvey Fiddick is a patient suffering from a severe injury that could cripple him if not treated correctly. I'm convinced your blood transfusion technique could help him.
What is it you really want? To save him, or to prove your point?
Fair question. I want nothing but to save my patient, Dr. Reed. Especially since I know Mr. Fiddick's story.
Tell me Mr. Fiddick's story.
Our first diagnosis was compromised because Mr. Fiddick lied to us about the real origin of his injury. He first claimed it was an accident.
But why would he hide such crucial information from us?
Because he is a proud father, ashamed of putting his children at risk because of his own negligence.
Harvey Fiddick.
This personal involvement could also appear to be a lack of impartiality. You must know that a good surgeon must remain neutral.
I agree. But that does not excuse Dr. Ackroyd's behavior, a man who did not even take time to converse with his patient.
Do you think keeping his distance was a mistake?
All I know is that I'm taking care of human beings with desires, hopes, and fears. Not some biological machine comprised of blood, bones, and flesh.
Ну да.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
С ней что-нибудь новое
What can I do
появилось?
for you, Doctor?
Thank you, Nurse Crane.
I'm all right. Don't waste your time with me. My sweet girl. Reads me like a book. I'll never.
Неоконченное письмо. Так, Пембрукская больница, 2 ноября. Мои милые дети, извините за то, что не писал вам раньше, но мне чертовски больно нацарапать даже пару слов на этой проклятой бумаге. Не бойтесь, как только врачи вылечат папину руку, он сразу выйдет из больницы. А пока, если вам что-то понадобится, пойдите на стройку и скажите мистеру Чедвику, что вы дети Харви Фидика. Вы Роберта Чедвика помните? Большого усатого мужчину, который прошлой весной помогал мне чинить двери. Разыщите его и попросите несколько монет. Он вам не откажет. Мне жаль, что я пока не могу работать, но когда я выйду, мы что-нибудь придумаем. Не волнуйтесь, как только папина рука снова станет сильной, все будет хорошо. Как только врачи починят мою руку, я... Hi. Что с рукой?
Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. May I help you?
I don't know if a third opinion is needed. Your colleagues are already arguing about my condition.
I see. Would you mind telling me more about your situation?
I'm Harvey Fiddick. All I want is to get me bloody arm fixed properly.
Ну, я могу его загипнотизировать.
Is there anything else that's bothering you? Can I help in any way?
I'm all right. Considering the state of this place, I should consider myself lucky, I guess.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Fiddick.
I'm just a regular guy waiting to get his arm fixed, so I can return to work and to my family.
I was more curious about what you were doing before being hospitalized.
I'm a carpenter, and a good one too. But that means I need both arms to feed my family, Dr. Reed.
Tell me about the doctors who are arguing about your case.
Strickland and Aykroyd. They both want the best for me, but there's a lot of pride there. Doctors are no different from carpenters, it seems.
What do you mean?
I often had professional arguments with rivals on a building site. Difference is I disagreed about wooden nails, not flesh and bones.
Are you satisfied with your treatment here?
Well, it's clear that I've chosen a bad time to be injured. Forgive my bluntness, but you seem overwhelmed by cases of the flu.
I won't lie to you about it. I'm afraid we are.
Are you sure you don't want to operate yourself, Dr. Reed? I have the feeling you're very capable, and your colleagues seem to think so too.
In other circumstances, you would be right. But for now, I don't think I can take on the responsibility. My apologies. You seem worried about the safety of your family. And it's obviously the reason why your wound troubles you so much.
I cannot give up on my children now. They both need me living.
What about their mother, if I may ask?
She died in 1915 during one of the first Zeppelin raids. We never found her body.
Tell me about your injury, Harvey. Why do you feel so guilty about it?
My wife died because of me. And now I may lose everything because I've been careless enough to hurt myself. What an arsehole.
How could your job be responsible for your wife's death?
I was working a double. She went out to bring me a hot meal and got caught in a German bomb raid.
You can't hold yourself responsible for your injury, Mr. Fiddick. Unless you tried to hurt yourself.
Of course I didn't hurt myself. But I can't work until my arm is fixed. My children need to eat, Doctor.
Tell me more about the death of your wife, Harvey.
1915. I was in the army. Building workshops for the Royal Flying Corps. Helen was happy I wasn't sent to the front.
What happened?
The Germans sent Zeppelins to bomb the construction site, but they missed their target. My wife was bringing my dinner when the bombs fell.
I'm sorry for your loss. So many died during the bombings. I served in France and witnessed the carnage there.
I would like to say that she didn't suffer. Truth is, I have no idea. I just know that I'm all that me kids have. Poor little bleeders.
How are your children after losing their mother?
They were smaller then. The only good thing about this is my Helen didn't bring them with her that night.
Как
Goodbye for
ему
now, Mr.
помочь?
Fiddick. I'll see you
Надо
later.
посмотреть на него.
Always knew the words to calm the children, Helen.
Ничем не болеет.
As for me, what a blundering idiot. Reads me like a book.
Good evening, sir.
I'll never forget anything from her.
I'm quite busy right now, Dr. Reed.
Так, что это новое?
Tell me, Waverly, what do you think of Dr. Strickland's enthusiasm for his experimental research?
Strickland is playing with his patients' lives for pride and glory. Now that, sir, is unethical.
Are you thinking about something in particular?
Harvey Fiddick needs delicate surgery. I believe we should stick to the usual procedure, but my young colleague obviously disagrees.
And are you not afraid that your rivalry with Strickland may be blinding you?
Rivalry? I guess you could call it that. But I will never be childish enough to let my personal feelings affect my judgment.
Why do you wish to lead this surgery?
I strongly believe that Mr. Fiddick should not be butchered to test an unproven procedure.
Ну вообще да, он должен выжить типа любой ценой. У него же дети.
I really hope you're right about this, Dr. Ackroyd. I'm trusting your judgment on this.
I'm not the kind of man who runs away from his responsibilities, Dr. Reed. There is no need for you to be looking over my shoulder.
Thank you for your...
Пойду с этим по тренде.
I will not let you down, my boy.
Где он, кстати?
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed. Can I be of any help?
Goodbye, Dr.
Нельзя с ним потрендеть. Че, можно теперь сказать этому, мол, все, сейчас мы тебе сделаем операцию, бро?
Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening.
Нет?
Goodbye for...
You always knew the words
Лечить-то
to
будем
calm
его,
the
алло?
children, Helen.
Человек болен.
Good evening, nurse.
Good evening, Doctor. I don't think we've been introduced yet. My name is Pippa Hawkins.
And I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. Dr. Swansea has recently offered me a position in this hospital.
Well, it's a euphemism that your help will be appreciated, Doctor.
Do you need medical help yourself, nurse?
I'm fine, really. I just need to sleep.
Как здесь обстоят дела?
How would you describe the situation at the Pembroke Hospital?
It's serious. The flu is wreaking havoc amongst the staff and patients. We are running out of everything.
You must get a hold of yourself, nurse.
Sorry, I'm exhausted. No one has any idea when this epidemic will be over.
Nurse Hawkins, the Spanish flu won't last forever. Even the Black Plague didn't kill everyone.
I wish I could believe you. But what if this epidemic was worse? What if in the end, nobody was spared?
How long have you been a nurse?
Or long enough to see that the epidemic is winning. And no matter how qualified you are, don't tell me you'll change that.
You'd be surprised what dedication can achieve, Nurse Hawkins. In medicine, sometimes we're just a test result away from a miracle.
Sorry, Doctor. I don't want to sound bitter, but I'm just too tired to give a pep talk like Nurse Brannigan.
How is the Pembroke staff coping with the epidemic?
Well, not well. Milton, the ambulance driver, is even more grumpy than usual, especially concerning doctors.
Why is Milton grumpy on a daily basis? Is it just an act?
Milton's not the kind of man who's bothered about a bad reputation, whether he deserved it or not.
Why does Milton dislike doctors?
I don't know. Just ask him. But be warned, Milton is not the chatty type.
Goodbye,
Подсказки,
Nurse
да?
Hawkins.
Goodbye. Легкая. Тельма страдает синдромом Катара и верит, что она вампир. Томас считает себя ответить за то, что случилось с ним на войне. Я всем еще не трындел. Выявление одобряет современных методов медицины. Ни один из экспериментов Тора с переливанием крови пока не был успешным. Харви не сможет кормить семью, пока его рука не заживет. Жена Харви погибла во время войны. Харви винит себя за свою травму. Милтона неважная репутация среди коллег. Коркоран убежден, что Гвинет Бранаган разбирается в медицине лучше, чем полагается медсестре. Коркоран доводит себя до истощения, но отказывается прекратить работать. По словам Коркорана, типится, талант Гвинет выходил за рамки сестринского дела. Так, вот там еще чел. Это индус.
Thelma Howcroft said she was being watched by vampire hunters. Where are they hiding? I should investigate.
Из трупа обыскиваем. Смятое письмо. Любовь моя, наконец-то мне удалось собрать деньги, которые водитель автомашины просит за доставку в больницу. Ни о чем не беспокойся, я обо всем позабочусь. Просто выздоравливай. Соседи говорят, что этот мистер Хукс честный жулик. Честный жулик. Он может попросить денег за койку, но зато тогда эта койка будет тебе точно гарантирована. Надо было сразу ему заплатить. Теперь я понимаю, что самое главное — это твое выздоровление. Говорят, что Пембрукская больница — хорошее место, несмотря на то, что там работает этот Милтон Хукс. Теперь все в порядке, уверяю тебя. Скоро ты будешь лежать в чистой постели, а я приду тебя навестить. С любовью, Николай. Минус Николай, получается.
It's locked, all right.
It's locked, all right.
I'm sorry.
It's locked.
Plain and cold medical bench, sir. I understand you must be very angry about this unfair situation. I managed to arrange to have you buried in the same mass grave as your wife. I hope that might help.
Я подслушал. Я все слышал.
Tomorrow.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Reed.
Always a pleasure to meet a colleague, sir. Especially when he was supposedly dead.
A colleague? Are you a doctor too?
Not anymore, sir. I used to be Dr. Rakesh Chadana. Now, I'm just Mr. Chadana, pawnbroker and humble guardian of this morgue.
What do you mean, you used to be a doctor? Was your license revoked?
No, sir. It is just that I like to be precise. I run a little pawn shop while taking care of the dead. But I used to be a real doctor.
A real doctor.
Do you need medical attention?
I'm feeling all right, doctor. But perhaps it is because I, too, am used to the smell of the dead.
Are you afraid or uneasy being surrounded by so many corpses?
Why should I? These bodies are empty vessels. Flesh left to decay. Poof. No soul anymore. All gone.
An interesting point of view. And quite an exotic one, too. Most people fear, or at least have a respect, for dead flesh.
Sir, as a medic during the war, I learned to face my death and the death of others. It's the pain we have to tame, not death itself.
How did you get this job?
After I left the army, I worked as an undertaker down by the docks. A dangerous place with many an unpleasant business there. Milton Hooks helped me get a job here.
Have we met before?
I don't think so, sir. Why?
When we first talked, you said you were glad to meet me since I was reported dead.
Funny story, sir. Your sister came here a few nights ago. You were missing, and she was looking for your body. She must be very relieved now.
Да.
Do you work here alone?
Yes, very easy work, sir. All I have to do is watch a few bodies. The situation was very different when the main morgue was still open.
Why do you have to watch these bodies?
Because these poor fellows have no names. We keep them in case someone comes looking for the missing. Sadly, very rarely happens.
Why close the hospital's main morgue?
It was for sanitary reasons after the beginning of the epidemic. Cadavers had to be moved to the nearest mass grave.
A pawnbroker? I expect you get all types of people here.
Yes, sir. All kind of people. For I sell all kind of goods.
Who comes here to trade with you? It's very unhygienic, even unsafe. Diseases can spread. For the customers, for the hospital.
I'm very cautious, sir. I've been a doctor, remember? And all my clients are good people. In fact, I think I only know good people.
What kind of goods?
With the quarantine, it's not always easy to buy things. So I trade, I exchange. Some people sell, some others buy. I like to help.
Listen.
Since you're not afraid of dying, do you believe in life after death, Rakesh?
No. I believe we must do all the good we can while alive. For our time is short, and the obstacles are endless.
Do you think you would enjoy immortality as a concept?
I don't think so. Don't mistake me. I love life, and I'd like to live a long life. But everything has to decay, sir. Even goodwill.
Вот дурак.
Do you really believe goodwill cannot last?
As I said, sir, everything decays. If I was to never die, goodness, I would be bored or worse. And I like to be helpful, sir.
Quite depressing, wouldn't you say?
Yes, but the good news is we'll all die before losing our humanity, sir.
So you're ready to die?
No, I am not. I don't fear death, for I won't see it. What troubles me is the pain my death will inflict to those I know.
You're a wise man, Mr. Chadana.
No, Dr. Reed. I am a foolish man. But I like to think otherwise.
А ты мне нравишься,
Please
брат.
show me what you have to sell.
Of course. It's just trinkets and curios, really. but I'm sure they can be useful.
Что продаешь? Загадочный рецепт. Опиум. Кайф. У меня 122 монеты. Купим рецепт. Я могу продавать? А, хлам. Хлам можно разобрать на части.
More bodies will arrive and then...
Что это значит? Где инвентарь? Нужно исследовать. Я так понимаю, мне надо
I'm managing a
в
trade.
мой кабинет свалить, чтобы исследовать. Го исследуем. Здесь... А, окей. Так, образец крови. Нет, неинтересно. Опа. Во. Новые рецептики. Кайф. Блин, где мне взять хинин, тартрат, гипохлорид? Это просто... Вот это говно можно разбирать, да? Переработать. О, у меня появился тартрат. Теперь мне нужен хинин и раствор. И я смогу вылечить чела одного. Опа, кто-то светится. Чего не светится? Они светились, потому что можно подслушать их или что? Вон светится чел, Ракеш. Я могу послушать, как он с трупами разговаривает. Беги!
I'm sorry you ended up on my plain and cold medical bench, sir. I understand you must be very angry about this unfair situation. I managed to arrange to have you buried in the same mass grave as your wife. I hope that might help.
И чё?
I'm sorry you ended up on my plain and cold medical bench, sir. I understand you must be very angry about this unfair situation.
Узнать больше о горожанине.
I managed to arrange to
Чё
have you
нажать-то?
buried in the same mass grave as your
Ничего не
wife.
надо нажимать.
I hope that might... I'm sorry you ended up
Ты
on
пойдешь
my
обратно?
plain and cold
Ты чё?
medical bench, sir. I understand you must be very angry about this unfair situation. I managed to arrange to have you buried in the same mass grave as your wife. I hope that might help.
Почему он не идет назад, как в прошлый раз?
sorry you ended up on my plain and cold medical bench, sir. I understand you must be very angry about this unfair situation. I managed to arrange to
я
have
могу
you
в него
buried in the
прицелиться.
same mass grave as your wife. I hope that might help. I'm sorry you ended up on my plain and
Ты чё,
cold
завис?
medical bench, sir. I understand.
My sweet girl.
Good evening, madam. Can I help you?
It's my son who needs you, sir.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. How can I help your son?
I'm Beatrice Goswick, mother of Mortimer Goswick. Could you check on him, please, Dr. Reed? I've heard much of your talents as a physician.
Do you require medical attention as well, Mrs. Goswick?
I have other concerns right now, Doctor. But I'm fine, thank you.
What can you tell me about yourself, Mrs. Goswick?
Not much to say. Just take care of my Mortimer and I'll cover all the expenses. That's all that matters.
Are you really that rich? Most of the patients here are of a more humble origin, if I may say so.
Yes, thanks to my husband. May he rest in peace. I can cover any needed medical expenses.
May I ask if you have an occupation, Mrs. Goswick?
I'm a teacher by profession. I teach young women who are more ambitious about their futures than their families.
What do you think of your reception here? Any complaints?
I have had the uttermost reservations about this hospital since we arrived. But we had no other choice, considering the state of emergency.
Is there something in particular that's bothering you?
Some of the staff were not especially welcoming. I suspect they're not accustomed to dealing with patients of such social standing.
Tell me more about your arrival at the Pembroke Hospital. What gave you such a bad first impression?
The ambulance driver was quite rude, for a start. And that nurse, Miss Hawkins, seems to have quite a dubious attitude.
What do you mean?
She managed to secure a bed for my son despite the epidemic. It was a relief, but it wasn't cheap.
I share your concern, Mrs. Goswick. Be sure that I'll talk to the people involved.
I don't expect compensation, Dr. Reed. But I'm aware such behavior would not be tolerated in other hospitals.
She charged you for a bed?
Yes, and I paid without question, considering the urgency of the situation.
Так, нужно было это в другом порядке слушать.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
Good evening.
Ну что, Мортимер?
Good evening. I'm Dr. Reed. Can I help at all?
No,
Really? Why are you here then?
I don't want to talk. My throat hurts too much.
I suppose that this pain is the reason you're here. Is someone taking care of you?
Yes. And no.
Could you at least tell me your name, sir?
Mortimer. Mortimer Goswick.
I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Переутомление.
Do you need any help?
I'm afraid I may, sir. I don't mean to be a burden.
Дать лекарство. У меня нет
You are not a
лекарства.
burden, sir. Healing you is my responsibility.
And you have my gratitude for that.
К сожалению, у меня не было лекарства. Сильно ли у вас были гномы?
How painful is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
I'm sure you realize a doctor and his patient have to communicate, sir. Would it help if I gave you some paper and a pen?
Not really.
I see. Then maybe it's not just your throat that hurts, Mr. Goswick. Perhaps your sore throat is just the consequence of something more hurtful.
Yes, maybe. But I don't want to talk or even write about it now.
Why did your mother have you hospitalized here? She seems convinced this is a bad hospital.
My mother just wants the best for me. She won't rest while I'm here. She'd go all the way to hell and back to help me.
Pembroke Hospital may look unorthodox, but rest assured you're in good hands here.
It's not me you have to convince, Dr. Reed. It's my mother.
Is your mother bothering you? As your doctor, I can ask her to leave you alone if you would prefer.
That's tempting, Doctor. But you have no idea what my mother is capable of. She would tie herself to my bed if you asked her to leave.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Goswick.
I don't want to talk, Doctor.
Короче, ему нужно лекарство.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need
У меня
anything.
нет раствора.
Doctor.
Доктор.
I will not let you down, my boy.
Так, они должны, короче, что-то там потрындеть. Они светились совсем недавно. Может, отойти подальше? О, там еще один чел светится. Но я чувствую, я не успеваю. Он идет. Как мне? Что мне надо? Мне что-то надо нажать? Мне кажется, вот красный глаз вот сверху. Он уже означает, что все должно работать. Не пройти. Что-то говорит, но я не слышу. Только субтитры читаю. Как это работает?
It's locked, all right.
Хз вообще.
I understand you must be very angry about this unfair situation.
Вот. Нужно
I managed to arrange to have you buried in the same mass
в каком-то определенном месте стоять.
I hope that might help.
Лежит. F получается.
I'm sorry you ended up on my plain and cold medical bench, sir. I understand you.
Ой. Как это работает?
Good evening, sir. Can I help you?
Unless you're here to fix my face. No. I don't think you can help me.
I'm Dr. Reed. I've recently taken the position of head surgeon here. War injuries, am I right?
You guessed right, Doctor. German shell took my pretty little mug right off. But they still call me
Что ты
Thomas
писал-то,
Elwood.
Лиза? Или... Или ты не хочешь больше об этом говорить?
Soldier, do you need assistance?
I'm fine. Just do something for this pain, will you? That's all I'm asking.
But the suffering continues.
How is your stay with us, Mr. Elwood?
Oh, it's bliss. I just escaped death in the trenches to be surrounded again by the moans of the dying.
Can I ask you precisely why you're a patient here?
It's the pain, sir. The drugs don't work. It just hurts under the scars, if you get my drift.
Can I do anything for your pain?
Nurses gave me a bunch of pills. No effect. Told you. It's like the flames are under my skin, burning away.
Who is treating you? Is someone in particular looking after your case?
Nobody since the old and tired doctor spoke to me. Started to think I was forgotten about. Wouldn't blame you.
You don't seem worried by that.
My face hurts so much more when I smile or cry. I've learned it's easier not to speak. But be assured I'm smiling inside.
Why do you feel responsible for the injury, Thomas? What really happened?
I wasn't disfigured by any German shells. It happened during my leave. It was an accident.
Why lie about it?
Come on. It's one thing to come back disfigured by the Germans, and it's another to get injured in an accident that could have happened to anybody.
Reconstructive surgery has been very successful for some soldiers.
I don't want to wear a bloody mask for the rest of my life. I'd rather stay here and just be forgotten.
Tell me what really happened then.
I went with a whore in Rouen. Dead drunk I was. The hotel was a shithole. There was a fire that night.
Did you start the fire?
Hi, Lizard.
Were you trying to avoid going back to the front? That's not uncommon, you know.
No. It's just that I was asleep when the flames reached the room. The girl was long gone. Bitch never woke me up. Left me to burn.
Хорошая игра, он дропал дважды. Настолько хорошая.
How close are you to Miss Hallcroft? Are you aware that she thinks she is a vampire?
To wait for her next nibble is the best reason to stay here. Every time she approaches my bed, she treats me like something tasty. A normal person.
Aren't you afraid? She may hurt you if the game goes too far.
She's quite harmless, I can assure you. Her head's broken inside is all. While I'm busted on the outside. But she's still beautiful. Living proof that there's hope for me.
So do you let her bite you? You know that's not sanitary.
And why not? She's only supping a few drops of me blood. And the pain, it's real for once.
She could decide to bite less willing patients.
Then it's another good reason for me to stay here, Doctor.
You do realize she's mentally disturbed. It's called the Cotard syndrome. She truly believes she's a vampire.
In her madness, she never refers to my scars. And frankly, if I could, I'd join her world. It seems much more fun than the real one.
Where were you stationed, sir? Did you serve for long?
I really don't want to talk about all this shit.
No offense. I was pushing too much. I served in France myself. I just wanted to know what happened to you.
You were an officer, weren't you? Then I doubt we fought the same war, sir. No offense.
Goodbye.
Блин,
for
как
now,
я
Mr.
просрал подсказку. Обосрался. Лизер, смотри, какая няшка.
Good evening, Miss Howcroft.
Блин, она
How
сидит,
are
не
you
видно.
tonight?
I need blood, Doctor. Warm, rich, vibrant blood.
Чисто готочка такая в больнице. Больная на всю голову.
Tell me, Thelma,
Обожаю таких.
why do you feel so attached to Mr. Elwood?
Старая?
Why him?
Она не старая, она молодая.
I'm not sure, Doctor. I think we have a bond of some sort. We've both suffered so much. He's the only mortal I find interesting.
Do you plan to make him a vampire too?
Of course not. How could I inflict my curse on anybody else? I'm not that cruel, Doctor.
Would you say you and Mr. Elwood are romantically involved?
No. No, Thomas is a delicate soul. Even though he disguises it. But I am not the woman he needs. No, for I am a vampire, Doctor.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
Она норм. Ты чё гонишь, старая? Нормально.
The pain. It's here again.
I wish I could be sick again. Blood boil with the fever.
Забери свои слова обратно. Не смей так про мою жену говорить.
Good evening, Mr. Hampton. How do you feel?
Dr. Reed, is it? Oh, sir, I must apologize for my behavior.
What do you mean?
I was not myself in the factory. Fear and exhaustion made me say awful things to you, I'm afraid.
You remained perfectly nice and polite. A little delirious, perhaps. But who wouldn't be after enduring an abduction?
Thank you, Doctor. That's a relief. Now all I need to do is rest and return to my flock.
How did you end up in William Bishop's den?
I had received alarming news about his recent behavior. I went to his place and he refused to let me go.
Why did he abduct you?
William was an alcoholic. His addiction suddenly changed to blood. I don't know why. Just like a patient I met here. This Miss Hawcroft.
You dared to enter this awful place alone. You're a hero, Mr. Hampton. Or a fool.
I'm just a man trying to help his friends, Dr. Reed. William Bishop was a conflicted soul, searching for light.
What is the general situation in the East End docks?
The situation has always been tough, with a lot of tensions between the gangs and the Dockers' trade union. The Wet Boot Boys are very nervous since they lost their leader.
Who leads the gang now?
Since Clay Cox went missing, it's his wife Edwina who runs the show, with the assistance of her minion, Booth Digby.
Booth Digby.
Has the gang been threatening you?
Ah, no. I've had this nickname for so long, you know, the sad saint of the East End. No one dares to bug a saint, not even criminals.
Do you know Tom Watts, the bartender from the Turtle? I met him before I found you in the canning factory.
Tom? Yes, of course. Always the helping hand, good old Tom. Without men like him, corruption and despair would have wiped out the East End long ago.
People are still in despair.
How could it be otherwise? The authorities have left us all to rot in this contagious nightmare. No drugs, no advice, nothing. It's a damn shame.
Who should I avoid in this part of town, then? Any particularly evil figures?
Not really. Most men and women are just doing their best. And it's not my habit to speak ill of people I know, Doctor.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Hampton? I can't help but notice the cross around your neck.
I manage a night asylum for the poor and homeless of the docks. And I try to guide the lost and hesitant on the right path to our Lord.
Are you a priest, Mr. Hampton? A deacon, maybe?
Not at all, Doctor. I'm just a man of faith willing to preach the good word.
Why didn't you use your cross against William Bishop? To repel him somehow?
That's a very strange question, Doctor. A cross is no magical token, if that's what you were trying to say. Not mine, anyway.
Have you made friends since you arrived?
Not really, but I recognize Miss Harriet Jones. I knew her when she lived by the docks. That poor woman had such a miserable life.
You never came to see her here at Pembroke? Receiving visits when sick can be an important part of the healing process, you know. We're not just bodies.
You're preaching to the converted now, Doctor. To be truly honest, I thought she was dead. She left the docks many months ago.
How do you feel, Mr. Hampton? Medically speaking, I mean.
I feel exhausted. Beyond exhaustion, actually. William drank so much of my blood in his madness. I feel empty.
You're in good hands here. Dr. Swansea is well versed in blood transfusion, and I'm sure he'll take the best care of you.
Thank you, sir. I believe all I need is rest. And then I can go back to the people who need me.
Goodbye, Mr. Hampton. We'll talk again later.
Угу.
Good evening, Milton.
Good evening, Doctor. Still trying to save lives?
Still trying to save lives.
Why do you have such a mediocre reputation among your colleagues,
Mediocre.
Milton?
Fuck them. Nobody knows the horrors I've seen since working here. This city was sick long before the epidemic, Dr. Reed.
I know it's a difficult task, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is this not the job you are paid to do?
I've seen babies left to die while their brothers were properly fed. Underage girls and boys sold to all manner of perverts.
I'm sorry, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, exactly. We lack words. So excuse me if I don't look on the bright side of life.
Tell me why you're extorting money from some of the patients here.
If a patient wants a bed, he'll have to pay me a little fee. That's all.
Where did you get the idea for such an immoral scam?
Funny you should ask. The first time it was from a patient who bribed me to get a bed. It's only then I realized I could make a fortune.
I'd like to see your goods.
Wise choice, Dr. Reed. A reliable gun is what everybody needs these days.
Всякое говно продаешь, бро. Вот они там, короче, шепчутся, сучки. С этой стороны нельзя. Я не успеваю. Она опять не сработает. Блин. Как это работает? Как это работает? Пиппа Хокинс, иди сюда, сучка. Ты какого хера койки продаешь?
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
А про кого я узнал это дерьмо? Не про нее? Может... А, Харриет. Харриет? А, там бабища за закрытой дверью сидит. Доктор Крейн? А, Дороти. Кто из них там, короче?
And Miss
Пак.
Thank you.
Какая-то медсестра, другая. Сука. Ладно, короче, со всеми потрындел. Типа. Го на второй этаж. К главному челику. Цок-цок-цок. А, понятно. Слабая сыворотка регенерации.
William Bishop's blood is much more unstable than human blood and shows extensive mutation. But this is not what happened to me. I must keep on searching. The sun is about to rise. I can feel it. I'll continue tomorrow night. I have so much time now.
Так, да, ложись спать. Level up. Оборонительное свертывание. Вы останавливаете кровь в венах цели, делая ее беззащитной. Делая ее беззащитной? Кровавый барьер, вот это вот имба. Надо его юзать. Действие 5 секунд. Поглощает одно попадание. Жесть, а чё такой слабенький? Одно попадание. 800 опыта. Не могу когти вкачать. Так, тогда я не буду ничего качать.
If I'm to stay here until my research is complete, I'd better learn to hide my true nature from the mortals. But what about my thirst for blood? The flower's dying. It needs water.
Needs water. A little water. Needs a little water. A little water. Хай, чё стоишь? Ты следишь за мной?
Yes, Nurse Crane? How can I help you?
I'm so sorry. I know Dr. Swansea wanted you to rest, but we have somewhat of a crisis.
A crisis, you say?
Our supply of antiseptics is nearly depleted. I was hoping there was another box up here, but...
What type of hospital are you running?
Что?
No antiseptics.
Я не так хотел ответить.
You have been away too long, Doctor. With the war and now this epidemic, supplies have been running scarce for months now.
I may have a solution. In France, during the war, drugs shortage was a daily problem, and we had to use our wits to overcome the shortages.
However do you mean?
If combined correctly, certain household chemical products can be used in a pinch instead. Now, where's the hospital storeroom?
The storeroom? Fat chance. This is the Pembroke, and space is luxury we don't have. Everything used to be stored in the old morgue.
Perhaps I should look there first. Where is this morgue?
It's the large building behind the hospital. You'll need to go in the back door because it's been sealed off for sanitary reasons. Take this key. It opens a small back entrance at the end of a narrow street.
The abandoned morgue behind the hospital. A small door at the end of a narrow street. On my way, then. Thank you, nurse.
Thank you, nurse. On my way.
It's locked.
It's locked, all right. It's locked. Dr. Tippett, Dr. Strickland, Dr. Aykroyd.
It's locked.
It's locked.
Please come back later.
Come back later.
I cannot enter.
Как их подслушать? Как их подслушать? Как их подслушать? Так, у меня сайт-квесты есть. Где они вообще? Как? Куда? Куда нажимать? Ой, фак. Как двигать камерой? О, господи. Нужно подводить к краям. Другому никак. А где полночь в саду добра и зла? Войти в сад за больницей. В сад за больницей. Окей. Сейчас посмотрим.
Good evening, Mr. Cox.
Dr. Reed. Still working at night, I see. I like that.
And why is that?
People who don't sleep at night always seem more alive to me. More interesting, one way or another.
You're lucky to be alive, Mr. Cox. I hope you're starting to take better care of yourself.
This place is full of sickness and decay. How could I get better in such a dump?
Consider yourself lucky that I'm treating all of my patients equally. But don't push your luck.
Don't play the innocent with me. I'm sure you have good reasons to act this way. And also weaknesses that can be exploited.
Do you ever think about that poor fellow I saw you push in the water?
The wound he gave me will make sure I don't forget him. Still fucking hurts. Boss had cut me good.
That man was determined to murder you. You almost died.
What a surprise. The first time I met him, he nearly shit himself. Fucking coward. I guess revenge gives you balls.
What did he want? Revenge?
I recently had to kill his brother. Poor arsehole thought it would be easy to return the favor.
Only the strongest survive, then? Survival at all costs. Is that all you think about?
I'm the toughest bastard you'll ever meet, Dr. Reed. And I don't give a fuck what you think of me.
How is your hospitalization going, Mr. Cox?
This is a shitty place with shitty staff. As long as I'm treated all right, I'll be fine.
What's wrong with the Pembroke staff?
That bastard you sent to bring me here, Milton. I thought he was going to break all my bones before I reached my bed.
I see. Any other smart comments?
The nurses aren't too ugly. Especially that foxy one, Nurse Crane. Pretty brunette, tough attitude, all like that.
What's wrong with the hospital?
Come on, Dr. Reed. The place is a dump. Smelly, sad, and dirty.
But you're alive thanks to the efforts and dedication of the staff here, aren't you?
What are you expecting, a medal? I thought that saving lives was just part of the job. Must be an unsatisfactory profession at this time, I'm sure.
I'll leave you for now, Mr. Cox.
Мистер Кокс. Неизвестно. Ты кто такой нахер? Что за черт?
Please, sir. I need help bad.
What's going on?
I'm Blight, sir. Newton Blight. I've lost my mate. Can't find him anywhere.
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed from the Pembroke Hospital. Please, calm down and give me more details.
Oswald and myself were both infantry, sir. We were en route for the hospital, but... well, we had a disagreement. And Oswald ran off towards the canal.
How long have you been searching for him?
I can't go there. Too many rats by the water. Fucking rats. Can't stand them since the war, sir. Can't stand them at all.
Don't be ashamed, Mr. Blight. Many soldiers who survived the trenches suffer from musophobia. I'll see what I can do for your friend. What can you tell me about yourself?
Мусофобия.
I'm Oswald's best friend. We served in the same regiment, sir. We've taken care of each other since we came back from the front.
This is a dangerous part of town. What are you doing here?
We were looking for the Pembroke Hospital. We both need help. Treatment, I mean. To get some sleep. Just need to feel better, sir.
What can you tell me about your friend?
His name is Oswald Thatcher. We survived the war together. Oswald is nervous and quite fragile since we came back from the war.
Where was your friend the last time you saw him?
He went down by the canal. He didn't want to go to the hospital. I think he went to the sewers on purpose. So I couldn't go after him.
Так, что у тебя там?
Do you need medical attention, sir?
No thanks, sir. Unless you're able to get rid of every rat in London.
Могу
I
сожрать
have
всех
all the
крыс.
information I need for now. If I find
Так, тебе
anything out
понравится?
about your friend, I'll let you know as soon as I can.
Thank you, Dr. Reed.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. Thank you. Какой-то там сад за больницей.